Given the number of people who go missing every year, it's unsurprising that many of those cases are still unsolved, and the fate of those missing people remains unknown. Some of these cases contain some truly troubling details, and hence it's vital that they be solved as quickly as possible. Number 20. In January 2023, 63-year-old Gary Hoff, a former Marine, was living in South Auburn, Washington. According to his family, he'd been in an accident that caused him to suffer a brain injury, but it isn't known whether this had any significance in his strange disappearance. The last time that anyone heard from Gary was in January of that year, just prior to his disappearance, when he spoke to some of his family members. Since that day, he's not made contact with anyone he knows, and those close to him are desperate to find out what happened to him. He was last seen a month earlier when congregation members of his church and some of his family spent time with him in December. Another worrying fact in his case is that eviction proceedings had been brought against him, though his name does not appear on the building's rental records. Because Gary is known to have some medical problems, the authorities are concerned for his well-being, and they've asked the public to inform them as soon as he's spotted. He's described as having salt and pepper-colored hair and can be recognized by a large scar on his head, which is the result of surgery that he underwent following his accident. Anyone with information on Gary's whereabouts is asked to contact the Auburn Police Department tip line at 253-288-7403. Number 19. 23-year-old Dennis Billy Westlock has been missing for 7 years, and there are real fears that he may have been injured after an accident that took place on the water of Emmanuck, Alaska in 2018. His mother, Martha, has provided some details on Dennis, stating that he graduated high school from Emmanuck High School in 2013, and that at the time of his disappearance, he was very accustomed to working out in the water since he was employed as a commercial fisherman. He was an avid basketball player who was chosen for the Emmanuck Bad Boys team, and when the fishing season had come to an end, he enjoyed hunting, logging, picking berries, and fishing, among other activities. On the day of his disappearance, the 13th of June 2018, Dennis was boating in the area with a friend when disaster struck. The boat that they were traveling in collided with a submerged log in the water that they couldn't see, and it capsized, causing both men to be thrown into the water. Though Dennis was an experienced boatman, neither he nor his friend was wearing a life jacket, which has left many people baffled. A nearby boater saw the accident and raced to the scene, where he managed to extract Dennis's friend from the water, and he was treated for hypothermia. The water was then searched, but no sign of Dennis was found, and since the water was extremely cold, it's assumed he lost his life. It's certain that neither man had been drinking, and that the incident was merely a tragic accident, but Dennis was never found. Anyone who has additional information on this case is asked to contact the Alaska State Troopers at 907-269-5511. Number 18. The case of the disappearance of 39-year-old Ian Benjamin Rogers is a baffling one, since he was seemingly just going about his day as per normal in August of 2024, when he suddenly disappeared. And since that day, no one has seen him or heard from him. At the time, Ian was living in Crawfordville, Florida, and on the morning of the 26th of August, he told his family and a few of his coworkers that he was on his way to work. He was known to be driving his 4-door Dodge Ram 2500 company truck with the Florida license plate number RSK-U57. It should also be noted that the truck has metal step sides. He'd been driving the truck for a few days, since it had only been issued to him by the company right before his disappearance. And when he failed to arrive for his shift as expected, the police were notified that he'd gone missing. His family tried to contact him on his cell phone, but they got no answer. His bank accounts have been monitored since the day he vanished, but they've seen no activity. Strangely, the truck was caught by CCTV cameras as it was being driven near Tom Brown Park on the day that he vanished, but it could not be confirmed whether Ian was behind the wheel. The Wakulla County Sheriff's Department has said that Ian should not be approached if he's spotted, and that instead they should be contacted at 850-745-7100, quoting agency case number WCSO24-OFF-002408. Number 17. There are some real concerns for the safety and well-being of 29-year-old Cheyenne Campbell. who disappeared without a trace from Orangeburg, South Carolina in January of 2024. Despite the best efforts of investigators, she's never been located. What's caused investigators and her family such concern is the fact that Cheyenne left her home after telling her family that she was planning on meeting up with a man that day. Unfortunately, she never gave them this man's name, and hence he remains unidentified. What is known is that she was supposed to meet up with him at an Airbnb in Columbia, South Carolina that day, but she never returned home and has not been seen since. It's also unclear how Cheyenne met the man and how long she intended to stay with him at the Airbnb. Sources don't state whether investigators know the address of the Airbnb, and if they do, whether it was searched, and if the owners were questioned. When she failed to return home, her family contacted the police to file a missing person report, but no progress has been made in Cheyenne's case. If you or anyone you know has seen Cheyenne or know where she may be, you're asked to contact the Orangeburg County Sheriff's Office at 803-531-4647. Number 16. The last time that 19-year-old Timontes Hurt was seen, he was at a Greyhound bus station in Kansas, Missouri, in February of 2024, and he's not made contact with any of his loved ones since. Timontes originally hails from St. Louis, Missouri, and he would often return there to visit family after he moved to Nashville, Tennessee. But after he graduated from high school, he moved back to St. Louis, where he attended college at Missouri Western University. But the tuition costs had taken a toll on his finances, and in 2024, he decided to take a semester off so that he could save some money. He then started working at a Price Chopper supermarket in Grain Valley, Missouri to make some extra cash. Timontes' grandmother told investigators that she last spoke to him via a video call on the 1st of February, and she felt there was something off about his demeanor. He sounded paranoid and asked that she keep him in her prayers. She added that he was talking to what she believed to be a man and a woman who were with him at the time, and that he was speaking like a small child. He also hinted that he'd accidentally ingested an illegal substance, stating that he'd been laced. When the call ended, she immediately contacted the police, and they found him at a house on Baltimore Avenue, after which he was taken to a nearby hospital. He was evaluated, and when it was found he wasn't in any kind of medical danger, he was discharged. He then traveled to the Greyhound bus station by taxi, but found it was already closed for the day. He tried to get back in the taxi since he'd left his phone inside, but he couldn't get in, so he walked towards 77th Street and Troost Avenue, where he was last spotted at around 1:30 a.m. If he's spotted, the Kansas City Department of Missing Persons Unit should be contacted at 816-234-5043, quoting agency case number KC24006-867. Number 15. 34-year-old Clayton Earl Lane, who hails from Walterboro in South Carolina, has been missing since the 28th of May, 2025, when he was last seen. It's known that on that day, he'd visited the Baymont Inn, which is located close to 1286 Snyder's Highway. His vehicle was later found in the inn's parking lot where he had abandoned it, and witnesses reported seeing him walking into the nearby woods. When the car was searched, his cell phone was found inside. Unfortunately, since Clayton left his cell phone behind, it was impossible for investigators to track him that way after he was reported missing. He usually relied on public Wi-Fi to access his social media accounts, which he used to stay in contact with his friends and family. After he was reported as missing, investigators kept close tabs on his social media accounts, but they've remained inactive since the day that he was last seen. If you have any information on Clayton's current whereabouts, you're urged to contact the Colton County Sheriff's Office at 843-549-2211. Number 14. The case involving the disappearance of 36-year-old Joanne Cabanilla has caused some concern for her family, since some very unsettling evidence has been found that seems to indicate she entered the water in Bellevue, Nebraska, and was unable to make her way back onto land. Her case started on the 10th of November, 2022, when she was last seen in that same area. At the time, she owned a blue 2007 Jeep Patriot with the Nebraska plate number UPT-333, and after she was reported as missing, the police started searching for her vehicle. It was eventually spotted near the Missouri River later that same day, and when the area was searched, her shoes were found close to the vehicle, but there was no sign of her or any clues to indicate where she might have gone. It isn't known whether she went into the water intentionally, whether she fell in, or if she intentionally abandoned her vehicle and simply left the area for reasons unknown. Her family is desperate for answers, as there have been no further sightings of Joanne, and they're growing increasingly concerned for her well-being. Very few further details are available in her case, and it isn't known whether any additional searches have been carried out in the months that have since passed. If you've seen Joanne or have any idea where she may be, you should contact the Bellevue Police Department at 402-593-4111, quoting agency case number 22035-781. Number 13. The last time that anyone had contact with 49-year-old Henry Fields was at around midnight on the 17th of July, 2022, while he was in an area close to his home in the 15,000 block of Indiana Street in Detroit, Michigan. His friends would later tell investigators that he'd been to a bar in Lincoln Park that night, and that he was driving his black Mercury Milan before he vanished. It should be noted that he often visits the northwest area of Detroit, but he's not been seen there since he was reported as missing. Causing further concern is the fact that Henry is known to suffer from bipolar disorder, and he likely doesn't have access to the medication that he needs. His family has stated that he would never willingly abandon his child, since they have a very close relationship, and hence his disappearance is very out of character. Henry's car was eventually found by his brother in southwest Detroit on the 13th of September that year, but he was nowhere to be found, and it didn't contain any clues as to his whereabouts. He also has the names Sophia and Maria tattooed on his chest, and has another unidentified tattoo on his right arm. Anyone who can help bring Henry's case to a close is asked to contact the Detroit Police Department at 313-596-1800. Number 12. 31-year-old Jana Manasco's father, Jimmy, is concerned with the lack of attention that her missing person case is receiving, and he's grown ever more concerned for her safety after receiving a disturbing anonymous message about his daughter on a social media platform. At the time of her disappearance, August of 2023, Jana was struggling with substance abuse. She was a former athlete, but after sustaining an injury, she became dependent on the medication that had been prescribed to her. But she has also been arrested for possessing other illegal substances and larceny, which suggests she was struggling to maintain the normal and healthy lifestyle that she once knew. The last time that she was seen was in her hometown of Monarch, South Carolina, on the 19th of August of that year. And since then, her father has done everything he can to find her, but to no avail. At one point, a man who remains unidentified sent him a voice message in which he stated that he ran into an old friend of his, who told him that he'd robbed Jana of certain medication before ending her life. Someone else told him that she'd been found deceased in a pond, and with the help of a sniffer dog, he decided to follow up on the lead. But while the dog did pick up on something, Jana was never found. Investigators have stated that they've questioned several individuals in this case, and they agreed to take polygraph tests, but no suspect has been identified yet. They've urged the public to come forward with any new information they may have, and have reiterated that they take each missing person case very seriously. If you know where she may be, or have information on what happened to her, you're asked to contact the Union County Sheriff's Office at 864-429-1611. Number 11. Robert Stanley Kilpinski, a 63-year-old man from Tulsa, Oklahoma, disappeared inexplicably in 2024 after assuring a friend that he'd be home shortly, and in the year that has since passed, no one has heard from him. While only a few details are available in this case, it's known that at the time, Robert had been on the lookout for a truck and trailer to purchase, though it's not been revealed what he was planning on using these items for. On the 31st of August that year, he'd finally found a truck and trailer that seemed suitable, and he informed a friend that he was on his way to look at them, but that he'd traveled to Boulder, Colorado to do so. He set out from his house that same day and traveled to the salvage yard in question, where he seemingly spoke to the owner and viewed the truck and trailer, but it remains uncertain whether he decided to purchase them. He was supposed to head back to Tulsa that same day, but then contacted his friend to inform him that he decided to stay a while longer. He remained there until the 7th of September, when he contacted his friend yet again to state that he was about to start heading home. But 2 days later, Robert still hadn't arrived, and he was reported as missing. Strangely, sources state that he was last in contact with his friend on the 4th of October, and no further details are available. Anyone who has seen him is urged to report the sighting to the Boulder Police Department at 303-441-3333, quoting agency case number 2409359. Number 10. There are very real concerns for the safety of 19-year-old Hannah Slaboff, who in May of 2025 was staying at the Vista Maria Youth Home in Dearborn Heights, Michigan, since she's not the first person to go missing from the home. That same month, a woman staying at the home decided to walk away from the facility, but after a brief search, she was located and returned to the home. In March of that same year, a different woman also went missing, and worryingly, she was found at a 62-year-old man's apartment on Inkster Road, and he was arrested. A witness told the police that they last saw Hannah as she was leaving the home on the 8th of May, and when she didn't return and could not be found, a missing person case was filed with the Dearborn Heights Police Department by her care-assigned worker. Despite an investigation being launched, Hannah remains missing. She's described as having shoulder-length brown hair. As this is a relatively new case, not many details are available, but investigators remain dedicated to finding Hannah. Anyone who knows where she is should immediately contact the Dearborn Heights Police Department at 313-277-6770, quoting case number 2512310. Number 9. It's been suggested that before he disappeared, 72-year-old Ruben Huetaka may have gotten a ride with someone in Calera, Alabama. The driver of the vehicle in question has been identified and questioned. Ruben originally hails from Kenya and was last seen in Marion Drive in Calera. He and his wife were in Alabama to celebrate the fact that their son had graduated from high school, and concerns for his well-being are high, since he's said to suffer from a condition that causes impairment in his judgment. His family has reported that before he went missing, Ruben seemed confused, and they're concerned that he may be showing the first signs of dementia, and he may be attempting to return to his home country. After he was reported as missing, several searches were conducted in the woods surrounding the area where Ruben was last seen, but he could not be located. The driver who gave him a ride stated that he dropped Ruben off at a gas station near the Timberline subdivision, and it was confirmed that he entered the gas station's store. A different witness had seen him in Coleman, which is about an hour from Calera, but that lead also didn't lead to Ruben being found. Since Ruben may be disoriented, he needs to be found as soon as possible, and anyone with further information on his case is asked to contact the Calera Police Department at 205-668-3505. Number 8. 27-year-old Donald McCormick was reported missing on the 22nd of July, 1993, and as is so often the case, his family has not heard a word from him since. It's known that he was supposed to be at work that day, but his movements that morning remain a mystery. Due to the age of Donald's case, sources only have limited information on his disappearance, and as more time passes, investigators are growing ever more desperate to find out what happened to him that day. It's known that he intended to work his shift in Frackville, Pennsylvania that day, though it isn't clear where he was working or what his position was. He was last seen leaving his house, which was located at 315 North 2nd Street in Frackville, but it isn't clear whether he drove to work, got a ride with someone, or was traveling on foot. When he failed to arrive at work and could not be contacted by anyone he knew, he was reported as missing. But no clues have ever been found to indicate where he went that day or who he interacted with before inexplicably vanishing. Anyone who had contact with Donald or has information that could help solve his case is urged to contact the Frackville Police Department at 570-874-3860. Number 7. Members of the public have been asked to assist the police in locating 32-year-old Jesse Yansky, who vanished from Westboro, Wisconsin in April of 2025, since they've been unable to locate him since the day he was reported missing on the 19th of that month. Jesse's mother told investigators that on that night, he and his girlfriend had been driving in his car when they got into a heated argument. After Jesse lost his temper, he exited the vehicle and walked off, but he never returned home and hasn't been seen since. Unfortunately, he neglected to take his cell phone with him, making it impossible for investigators to track his movements. In an effort to find out where he went after walking away, residents in the areas of State Highway 86, north of State Highway 102, and within a 1-mile radius east or west of State Highway 13 have been asked to review their CCTV footage in case Jesse was captured walking through the area. If his movements that night can be confirmed, it'll help the authorities determine the areas that need to be searched, and hopefully the investigation can finally see some progress. This is a relatively new case, and any leads that are received will be followed up on. A few searches have been carried out, but since it isn't known what direction Jesse walked in, they were unsuccessful. Anyone with further information on his whereabouts is asked to contact the Price County Sheriff's Office at 715-339-3011. Number 6. More than a year has passed since 75-year-old James Edward Sanford disappeared from Westland in Michigan, and his family is hoping that new leads will be received in his case as they're desperate to bring him home. James is in the habit of going for walks in his neighborhood, and the afternoon of the 8th of April, 2024 was no different. His family says he left his home at around 2 p.m. that day, stating he was going for his walk, but he never returned. Inexplicably, no one has come forward to report that they saw James while he was out on his walk that day. And since the day that his missing person case was filed, no further information has come to light. Worryingly, James is known to suffer from dementia, and he left the house without his medication. Hence, he may have become disoriented or confused and got lost while trying to make his way back home. Searches have been conducted in the areas around James's house, but no clues as to his whereabouts have been found so far. He and his wife, Pam, have been married for 27 years, and she's committed to finding out where he is. Pam says that she saw James walking out the back door of their house that afternoon, and he simply vanished within what seemed like moments. She's contacted hospitals in the area to check whether he's been admitted, but she's had no luck to date. Anyone who spots James should contact the Westland Police Department at 734-722-9600. Number 5. The family of 39-year-old Donna Carroll is very worried about her safety thanks to claims that she made before she suddenly went missing in December of 2024. At the time, she was going through a tough time in her life, and they feel she may be in need of assistance. Donna lived in St. Louis, Missouri, before relocating to Los Angeles. At the time, she was unfortunately homeless, but she would do her best to keep in touch with her family, usually speaking to them every 3 to 6 weeks. What's caused them a lot of concern is that when they last spoke to her, Donna told them that she was afraid that someone may be trying to harm her, but despite being told to do so, she decided not to contact the police. On the 7th of December that year, she sent her family a photo of herself, and it's known that it was taken at 7th and Figueroa Street in Los Angeles. That's the last contact that anyone had with her, and she remains missing. It should be noted that Donna's legally married last name is Beggs, though she's used the last name Carroll since relocating to LA. Unfortunately, she didn't specify who the person was who was trying to harm her, or what made her believe this. Anyone who has seen her since that day that she was reported missing should contact the Los Angeles Police Department at 877-275-5273, quoting case number 25064-004. Number 4. 38-year-old Tina Figursky's missing person case is yet another instance where very few details are available, since it's a very recent investigation. But it's certain that she's not been in contact with anyone she knows since the 2nd of April, 2025. While it's not been revealed what her movements were that day, investigators state that Tina was last seen in the 500 block of West 7th Avenue in West Homestead, Pennsylvania on the 2nd of April. This sighting occurred at around 5 p.m. that day, but it isn't known where she went after being seen. Investigators have since reached out to the public in hopes that new leads will be received. They've been asked to immediately report any sightings of Tina and to check their security cameras for any footage showing her movements that day. Even the smallest lead could help the police establish a timeline of the events that occurred that day and may lead to her being located. When she disappeared, she was wearing a very recognizable gray jacket with black sleeves that had her name printed across the back. She was also dressed in black leggings, and judging by a photo that's been made available to the public, her lower lip and one cheek are pierced. While an official description has not been released, the same photo shows her with long brown hair and brown eyes. It isn't known whether Tina was living in West Homestead at the time, or if she has any ties to other areas. If you or anyone you know has any helpful information to share with investigators, you're asked to get in touch with the West Homestead Police Department at 412-461-1116 so that her case can receive the attention that is needed. Number 3. 42-year-old Michael Derek Bennett is one of many people who have gone missing while hiking the Appalachian Trail, though it's never actually been confirmed that he was in the area on the day that he went missing. It's certain that he was in his hometown of Centerville, Virginia on the 27th of February, 2025, and that he failed to show up for his shift that day. His coworkers became concerned when they were unable to contact him, and they contacted the police to file a missing person report. They told investigators that it's very out of character for Michael to miss work and to remain out of touch for extended periods, and hence they're very concerned that he may have gotten lost on the Appalachian Trail, since he'd mentioned on several occasions that he was thinking of hiking in that area. A search was carried out in the Shenandoah National Park, but it was suspended on the 2nd of April when no sign of Michael could be found. It remains unknown whether he was hiking there before he disappeared. Sources also don't state whether he has any hiking experience or whether he would have known what equipment and provisions to take with him. Anyone who has seen Michael is urged to contact the Shenandoah National Park Service at 540-999-3422. Number 2. The family of 38-year-old Charles Lamkin states that he needs to be found as soon as possible since he's gone missing from Louisville, Kentucky, without the very important medication that he needs to take every day. It's not been made clear why he was there, but investigators say that Charles was at the Audubon Hospital on the 22nd of March, 2024. He may have been receiving treatment for a mental health issue since he's known to suffer from mental illness, but this has not been confirmed. According to staff at the hospital, Charles walked out of the building through the wrong exit that day. He was seen through an ambulance exit rather than using the main doors, and he never returned. Witnesses would later tell the police that they spotted Charles near Preston Highway and Parkway Drive on the 25th and 26th of that month, and that he was traveling on foot. He was heading in the direction of Shepherdsville in Kentucky, but his movements following this sighting remain uncertain. His family states that without his medication, he may become confused and disoriented, and so he may have trouble finding his way around. Anyone who has information on Charles's case is asked to contact the Louisville Metro Police Department at 502-574-7111, quoting case number LMPD 24033-980. Number 1. 33-year-old Rakim Devo Elliott inexplicably vanished from Raleigh, North Carolina on the 12th of January, 2025, and he's not been seen or heard from since. He was supposed to be home at a certain time that night, but when he failed to show up, he was reported as missing to the Raleigh Police Department. The last time that anyone saw him was at around 8:40 p.m. on the 12th of January, while he was in the vicinity of I-40 and Hammond Road in Raleigh. Investigators did their utmost to locate Rakim, and a search of the areas where he was last seen was carried out, but it could not be determined which direction he traveled in after leaving. It isn't known whether foul play is suspected in his case, but at present, he's classified merely as missing. It's not been made clear whether he has a vehicle or whether he usually travels around on foot, but his family has appealed to the public to report any sightings of him so that he can be brought back to the safety of his home. Anyone who has information that could lead to him being found is asked to contact the Raleigh Police Department at 919-996-3335, quoting case number 25002-255. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future uploads. But my name is Ty Knotts, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.